I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
Me. Bam, bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
We talking about sports. I mean, what we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.
Big situations. He's like a really, really good goalie, you would think, but you know, when it just comes down to it, like it's De Gea.
But
I
that's
don't know.
this was their golden chance with the outcomes that came out.
Yeah, no, with what Chelsea has been doing lately, this was a chance for them to take that step, but typical Man U fashion over the past couple of years, they just bottlenecked it.
That's the rolling, I know.
Here's the thing, here's your chance to move up the table, and you come out, you're up 2-1, you're doing everything right, you got plenty of time to finish the game off, maybe get another one, and you just sit there, and then the 90 plus, you allow a 2-2, and now you don't move up at all on the table. You just it's right behind Leicester, who's the one who gifted you in the first place the chance.
Not only that, but Wolves won also.
Yeah, there was a lot of things. A lot of things for these guys to do.
I mean, it's not like at least they got 1 point. It's not like they got none.
But you know what? If we're going to talk soccer, guys, I want to talk about Manchester City right now. Man, like you just pay to play now or what? Is that how it's going to go? UEFA don't care?
Those have always been the rules of the game, man. I'm of course, as a Man United fan, I'm pissed because I was thinking sitting at 5 that we were sitting pretty. All we had to do is kind of win out, keep position, but now things get a little shaky. Things get shaky, and Man City. I guess that's just the way things go in UEFA. Just pay a little fine, and you're good to go.
So I'm up at 4 a.m. My phone's ringing, and I'm getting this UEFA text, and I'm like, ah. So I got on Twitter. I don't know if y'all saw that, and I started tweeting it out like.
That's what I woke up to this morning. Also, my brother's a Manchester City fan, and he just texted me the article, and that was like my alarm in the morning, like at 6.
Yeah.
Woke up to that. So,
that definitely throws a wrench into that table. Gotcha.
Yeah, everybody was like on fire to play for that 5th spot just to get there,
Exactly. Well, yeah, from the teams that could, I think that kind of puts. I don't know what it's at. I'll look at it in a bit, but it's probably going to come down to that Leicester and Man U game in the final game of the year. Yeah. They play each other, so the winner will probably get in.
That's going to be heavily played on.
The dramatics.
But y'all could have been playing with the lead if you just winning today, bro.
Yeah.
And but even then, I mean, I was at work while the game was going on, so I didn't really get to see it. But it said I walked back in and to the TV was playing it, and it said they were playing with 10 men due to somebody being injured, or was it a red card? Like, Man, you only had 10 men at the end.
I don't remember towards the end. I had to leave.
And it's so
I know it's Marshall put him in.
Extra time minutes too. Like, come on! Like, you're giving them a water break, but that doesn't mean you have to give them that much extra time. That's not it.
It's a guaranteed 5 minutes now
when you give them a water break.
Dude, no, 5 minutes. Yeah, right. Before it was 5 minutes. Now it's a guaranteed 8, 9, bro. It's ridiculous.
Well, what I've been seeing has been a guaranteed 5 every match.
Yeah. 5 is minimum.
Lately, I've been seeing 8 and 9.
But it's been 8 and 9, bro. So like today, the one was in the 97th.
Just might as well add the extra time. Just might as well go and play 30 minutes. Just do it.
Like if now they're like stop watching when players go down or something happens to see how much time they got to make up. Before they would just make some shit up but now it's all crazy, bro. The water breaks take like a minute.
Well, talking about 8 or 9, did you see PSG put up 9 points on their friendly on Sunday?
I didn't even know they played.
Neymar and Mbappe were sitting like right away.
9-1.
Yeah, they played like on an obscure beIN Sports Channel 6. It was like the 6th channel of beIN Sports. Like you have to really.
Was it like a warm-up game, or they're getting warmed up for Champions? Huh?
Yeah, they're just warming up for Champions.
But they don't have any type of play
fans
before
in the
that.
stands though.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I saw that. I noticed the fans in the stands. I saw that. Well, it's probably they probably have it a little bit more under control than we do, but don't want to get into that too much.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, Saucy. I mean, I know the NBA bubble's been going on.
You want to talk to me?
I want to hear about it.
Saucy today?
Yeah.
Well,
what's up with the bubble?
A lot's been going on. A lot's been going on in the bubble, actually. The NBA Bubble Life. There's actually an Instagram page dedicated to the Bubble Life if you guys want to check that out.
Get on.
posting funny videos. Well, the first thing that I saw from the coronavirus, and this is kind of light of the situation of the whole bubble, is J.R. Smith. He posted maybe like a montage of videos of him looking at his blanket. He's like, there's no way that Jokic or Anthony Davis got this blanket or fits in this blanket. And then he's showing the food that they were eating and stuff. And then, eventually he's like, you know what, man, I got a text. I got to get off. I just got the text saying I'm exposing too much shit in the bubble. I got to go, guys. And he's like, my bad. Typical JR fashion.
Who told him that? Who told him that, though?
Man,
who was that text from?
He said that he got a text from the league, but I was seeing some jokes flying around. It was probably LeBron that texted him. He saw his Instagram videos. He was like, bro, I didn't bring you back for this. I didn't bring you back for some Instagram videos.
To be bringing this on us.
Yeah, no, exactly.
We're locked in right now. All right?
Yeah, I mean, it's 0 dark 23. It's almost playoff time for the Lakers, and things are getting serious for them. Especially kind of get into this a little bit later, but Rajon Rondo, he was talking about his Walt Disney Resort room looking like a Motel 6. There's a couple guys that were complaining. I think some guys said that he didn't have a window in the bubble, which is a little weird. But getting to a little bit more serious matter in the bubble, though, 2 players actually broke the bubble protocols. According to ESPN, the first one that I read about today was that Rockets forward. It was some gentleman I'd never heard of before.
Who's not even going to play.
Yeah, he broke the protocol and has to quarantine for 8 days. But this other one is a little bit more of a notable player, and it's a team that's obviously competing for that 8th playoff spot, is Rashawn Holmes of the Kings. He crossed what they're calling the NBA bubble border to go ahead and pick up some food to go. So now he has to quarantine for 10 days. This happened 2 days ago. So he's on the second day of his quarantine with 8 more to go. So that's the rule. If you break protocol or something, you're going to have to quarantine by yourself for 8 days. So that's the first of it. And, I mentioned a Rockets player that busted the protocol, but this gentleman that I'm about to mention hadn't even made the trip to Orlando, and he tested positive for the coronavirus. It's a pretty big name. I think this is the biggest name we might have heard thus far, and it's Russell Westbrook. He tested positive with the coronavirus, and he said that he's in good spirits. He posted an Instagram post. I'm sure a bunch of us follow him on Instagram, saying that he's doing well and he's looking forward to rejoining his teammates when he gets cleared. So he hasn't had any second thoughts, at least thus far, about going to the bubble, but it's looking good. He said he's in good spirits, he feels healthy, and he wants to get back to his teammates. So
he's another one that said no taste, right?
Excuse me?
He's another one that said that he can't taste things now also.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just saw the Instagram post and that he tested positive. I did not see that.
No, I'm just. It just seems like that's a recurring theme for these players.
Oh, I hadn't heard that either, though. I hadn't heard that he lost his taste.
I just from the update I got, I guess.
Hey, him not making the trip. What did he just test? I mean, I think that he's been positive for a couple of days at least, right?
Yeah, because him and Harden didn't take
more than 2. Him and Harden didn't take the trip, and it hasn't come out that Harden tested positive too. But I don't see why he wouldn't make the trip unless he's just holding it down and like, nah, Russ, I ain't going in there without you. And he's just waiting for Russ to quarantine out.
For Russ.
Like. They made the trip sometime last week, and if he didn't go then, you got to think that he was positive, that they knew he was positive since then, or you think it would have leaked out if he was positive a week?
I don't know. That's a good point. That's a good point. Maybe he had other things going on, and he was barely going to make the trip, and he took his test, but I think you might be right, Ben. I think he might have tested positive a couple days ago when the rest of the guys were going to get there. Otherwise, he probably would have been there with everybody else.
So I say that to kind of like bring up, do you think he'll be there for the first game of the 8-game regular season? Do you think that he'll play? That's why I say.
Hope, I mean, if he's
trying to create a timetable,
and depending on his recovery, I think he'll be able to show up there. I'm sure he's been in shape. I'm sure he's been doing his workouts with the team before they made the trip. But I mean, if it gets any serious, and we've heard some of these players still having some problems depending on the severity of the virus. It could be where he's out for a little while. But I think he'll be.
I think with the season being a little over 2.5 weeks away, it's a little under 3 weeks, I believe. The 30th
Yeah, I
is
think
the first game.
there's a good chance he'll play.
So that's why I was saying if he was tested positive maybe even 5 days ago, I would say, or 4 days ago, like his quarantine would his 14-day, as long as he's good, I'm trying to set a timetable and be positive, trying to not have false hope here. But
yeah, no, I feel you. As a Rockets fan, I'd be a little scared too
because
he's the
even when
engine
he
that makes
gets
it one of the
over there,
engines
he's going to
that
have to
help.
quarantine also. He's going to have to quarantine when he gets
Yep.
over there as well. How many days quarantine are they giving these guys just for crossing the bubble line? So if you're flying in from the bubble
8
line,
days.
it's a
8
mandatory.
days.
What? He's going to have to do 8 days over
8.
there?
Or no, 10 days. 10 days, excuse me. Because the other guy had already done 2 days. So, yes, 10 days. But if he's cleared and everything, oh, yeah, that is true. They have to do a little quarantine period,
That's
and
what
he's going to
I'm
have to
saying.
pass tests once he gets there.
Right.
So it's a little shaky. I mean, positive thinking. I think he can make it. And, Russ is going to want to play no matter what if he's cleared to go. But, things could get a little shaky. It's something definitely that we need to monitor.
So even at that, so let's say he doesn't get back for the first game of the 8-game regular season, right?
Mm-hmm.
The playoffs, it would probably be like 2 weeks because it's 8 games. So you would think it'd probably be 2 weeks of regular season, and then the playoffs would start.
Yeah, that sounds about right, because they're going to try and cram as much games in as possible.
Or you think it would
So-
stretch out longer than 2 weeks?
No, I'm saying it's going to be shorter than 2 weeks, is what I'm saying,
Short?
possibly. Yeah, because they're gonna try and cram all these games. They're trying to not push back the next season too much. So, I read that they're trying to get the playoffs done.
Wasn't it like 7 games a
in
day?
October? Something like yeah, exactly. So I think they're gonna get a lot of games in a short period of time.
It might be every
But I-
other day teams are playing.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be fine for the playoffs.
For the playoffs,
depending on
that's-
what happens.
So that would be
Yeah.
like 5 weeks that he has to get better to get into the playoffs. I don't think the playoffs is too much in jeopardy. And I honestly think that he can even make the regular season, the start of it, just because I think that this happened a while ago. And that's why they didn't fly out. But definitely something to monitor because we're jousting for positioning with the Jazz and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So without Russell Westbrook, I mean, we're definitely not better without him. So
No.
and
No, for
I'm
sure.
not
You guys
saying
need
that
him.
I'm not saying that we're gonna fall down to the 8 seed either because we're up a decent amount on the Grizzlies. But if the Mavericks can catch us and then we end up having to play the Clippers first round, that's not good. I don't know exactly what the distance is, but I know it's not too many games that the Mavs are behind the Rockets. But that would be my biggest worry is we shit the bed for that 8-game regular season and end up playing the Clippers, bro. We would probably be out in the first round if Russ is coming back to a series against the Clippers and that's going to be his first action. So that would be terrible news.
Hey, just to keep it on the bubble talk, did y'all see any teams practice this week? I know I saw the Pelicans practice.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of teams practicing. I saw Dallas practice. I saw who else was practicing?
Orlando.
The Blazers. I saw a bunch of Melo videos. Slim Melo's back apparently. Saw those pictures floating around.
Got
He's
the
back to his
hoodie
old
on
self.
in Orlando.
Also, Hoodie Melo's back too.
Exactly. He's locked in. Yeah, and I saw the Bucks practice also. I saw Giannis out there. It was good to see these guys, and I think the Lakers also were another team that I got to see, and of course the Spurs. But just lighting it up and ending the NBA Rona talk, an Instagram model has already claimed that she's been invited to the bubble. The games haven't started. They've only been there for a couple days, and somebody's already trying to break protocol. I know we were joking around about it a few weeks ago,
called it,
saying,
man.
"Hey, if we see any Instagram models over there in Orlando, I mean, it's pretty obvious why they're there." So, what do you guys think? Do
It
you
was
think
like
this
3
is
days
actually
in.
going to happen?
It was like 3
Do you
days in when that tweet went viral.
Man,
you
this is
think
the NBA
somebody-
lifestyle. Somebody invited her.
Do you think somebody will sneak somebody in there?
Yes.
No, I don't think that they're going to be able to pull it off, but I definitely think somebody's stupid enough to try. For
Definitely.
sure. Somebody's
Yeah,
just
so-
going to be like fiending, bro, and he's going to try something dumb.
Yeah, I think so.
That tweet or that model, supposedly the only NBA player that follows her is Montrezl Harrell of the Los Angeles Clippers, so everybody was trying to automatically, kind of place the blame on him.
Connected the
And
dots to
he
him.
comes out and tweets, hey man, I've been napping this whole time. How did I become the joke of all of this? So I don't know if there's any word out on who the guy was, but I'm definitely gonna see if somebody tries to sneak somebody in there.
If it was Montrezl Harrell, I definitely don't see him doing it because he would really be screwing over himself and his team.
The Clippers.
Yeah.
And his team.
That's the guy in the playoff race.
That's the thing. You think it wouldn't be him, but it could be.
Also, bro, the other thing is we're talking about an Instagram model.
She could be for the cloud.
Yeah, that's true. She could just be capping. She could just be capping just for some
went viral.
clout,
That's mission accomplished.
Sure. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
A bunch of followers for sure.
So,
but just go ahead, Justin.
Any more NBA bubble talk before we get to the next topic, real quick?
No. I was just gonna hit on a couple of the quick ones for the other leagues.
We'll get to that right now.
Chapman.
Introduce it.
Let's just get to the introductions real quick. Man, this is we talking about sports. Episode number 13, man. 13 Leap.
That's it.
As you know, we had UFC 251. That was a big pay-per-view. 1.3 million buys is trending at right now.
Damn.
Before we get the final numbers. That's big numbers, guys. That's only buddy who does more numbers is Conor and Khabib. So
that might be top
the
5.
biggest one since Khabib.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be in the top 5. So
we know the top 5 is all like Rousey and Conor, so that might sneak in there.
Real
quick.
I
can't imagine it would have done that if. And I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit on what we were talking about last week. I don't think they would have done a 1.3 if Masvidal wasn't there. Just looking at the collection of fights, I think he really took that card over the top and really, really got everybody's excitement to a 10 out of a 10 as soon as he signed that contract.
What do you think? It was at, I think 500,000 that he was at least. I could have seen that pay-per-view with Usman and Burns. I could have seen it around 700,000.
Because they were supported by some other fights too.
Yeah.
You had Max Holloway, it was a big draw.
And then this Abu Dhabi Fight Island hype was up there. Maybe.
No way in hell. With 1.3 million, no way in hell they do that unless Masvidal's on the card. So I think it was around 400 to 500,000 buys that he added, if not more.
Yeah.
Do you follow his manager by any chance on Twitter?
Abraham Kawal? Yeah, he's a good follower.
Managers that much. When speaking about numbers and stuff, they're obviously gonna boost up their fighters.
No, but what I wanted to say was he had a video, a picture of a video with all the YouTube plays, like actual clicks, and on Usman's 13,000, 30,000, and then whenever it's Masvidal talking about it, over 1 million clicks each.
The post-fight
YouTube video,
the post-fight press.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously Masvidal has draw power
for sure.
Oh hell yeah,
100%. But if we go and look at Max's post-fight videos, I'm sure they have almost as many clicks. And I mean, I'm just shooting off the top, but I'm saying you would think Holloway's post-fights are at around 1 million. I'm not saying it's even bigger. Well, I'm not saying it's even bigger than Masvidal, but Holloway being on the card definitely helped.
Oh hell yeah.
Yep. He's a fan favorite. It's my boy. And I mean, are we doing the full UFC 251 recap so I can just get this off my chest?
Not just
because
yet.
Not yet. All right.
Holloway 317,000. That's still not 1 million.
Damn.
Well, yeah.
So, right before we do the UFC 251 recap, I just want to say Diego left a comment, and he wanted to know top 5 strikers, and he's left this I think 2 weeks. So he really wants us to get to Diego. The only thing is I want to clear it up with you, man. Do you mean top 5 strikers, just the striker position, or are you talking about just goal scorers in totality? Because we want to clear it up and we want to get it down to the way and tailor the top 5 to what you're asking for.
If it's just the number 9, right, or if it's just goal scorers all around, because obviously there's wingers that are very good strikers, but I guess strikers just the number 9 or what?
Yeah. So,
usually in soccer?
Yes. Number 9 is usually your striker. So let us know, Diego, what you mean by top 5 strikers. Is it just a striker position? Bobby Firmino, Lewandowski, people like that, Harry Kane, or do you mean anybody who puts the net in the back of the goal in the back of the net, the ball in the back of the net? So let us know on that.
And we're not talking about penalty kick monsters, all right?
Hey,
Like
we can talk
Ronaldo
about PK monsters
or
too.
El Capitan. We're not talking about those type of people.
Hey, well, let's shoot the breeze a little bit, guys. I mean, I heard y'all had a good Saturday watching soccer somewhere.
Yeah, I went down to the valley. Roland was down in the valley, I think, for a while already. We had something to go do down in the valley, so we were down there, and we actually caught the Atlanta and Juve game together with Diego and unfortunately the Garza brothers.
Come on.
Nah, but
Shout out Wally, shout out Marky.
yeah. That Atlanta and Juve game was dope, man. It ended up being 2-2. It was a really good game. And then after that, I ended up going to Ron's for the fights. Shout out Ron.
Sounds good.
We cooked out some hot dogs. We were there in his garage, about 8-9 of us maybe. Steven was there. Marky and Wally were there. And just enjoyed the fights there. And then Sunday, we actually went golfing, bro. Some of us woke up after Ron's and ended up going. Some didn't, but I mean, those of us who did go and we were all hungover, the turnout wasn't that good.
Hey, but at least you got out there.
We did get out there. I'm all burnt. I wore this stupid Las Vegas visor that we got like sometime last year in Vegas. I tell you, when I go golfing, I try and look as goofy as possible, bro. So I had this like see-through Las Vegas visor, not even thinking about the sun. We got there. The tee time was at 9:50. We ended up finishing like at 2. And bro, the top of my head right now, golly, fam.
You look burned too, man.
Yeah, and I got my ass whooped in golf too, so that wasn't good.
Hey,
but yeah, back home in New Braunfels.
Dude, I had a pretty good weekend. Was here with the family in the valley, still here in the valley, but my weekend came to an abrupt halt and was ruined at like 11:30, 11:45 on Saturday. When my favorite fighter, Max Holloway, got robbed of a victory at UFC 251
I know you're
against
ready to talk about
Volkanovski.
it. I know you're ready to talk about it.
It was really heartbreaking, man. You know, I wasn't going in with very high hopes. I was actually like very, very moderate about what I was expecting to see. I even, I talked myself into taking Max. So I took a little bet on him at plus 180. I was like, you know what? I just have to take him. I have to support Max a little bit. Gave him some money. Put some good juju on it, and man, it was looking good for a while. Let me tell you, I was smiling like as a fan, like I'm smiling right now. And the tide did turn in the fight, and after a certain point, Volkanovski did show some championship resolve. Got to give him props. He competed out there, but man, Max came out on fire. Dropped him at the end of the first, dropped him in the second. And then I think the third is the one that's up for debate with everybody right now. But
save it for the breakdown.
Man, this is the breakdown. I already gave you my weekend.
Yeah, man,
This
you
is
know
crazy,
what? That
man.
third round could have been it, dude. I think if Max just does a little more that third round.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you
so
what,
I was really heartbroken.
the people's court, they say Max won on Twitter.
Yeah, consensus
You know?
is that Max won. That seems to be the consensus.
And we'll talk about that because I don't know if does he deserve another rematch. I mean, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Man, I don't know. Dana didn't shut it down.
Yeah.
Dana didn't shut it down.
Let me just tell you about my week, though. My week was good. I got together with family. I tried to do some social distancing, but it wasn't the best because it's fam, and a lot of us had quarantine for the most part. I did get my own cabin, so I was sleeping in my own place and not having to sleep next to other people and worry about that, man. The drinks were flowing. I'll tell you that. It was a good time.
What were you drinking, Just?
Dude, I had ranch waters and I had vampiros. As you can see, man, I got a little bit of a tan going on. It's a little browner.
Dracula.
Yeah. Hey, and my cousin Linda got to go, and her fiance Joseph. And I haven't had a vacation with Linda in like about 2 years or more, like because we used to always go. And man, it was so good to hang out with Linda again. Yeah, she's a lot of fun.
Nice.
If anybody knows the Hammer,
You got crowned. I graduated with Linda, so I know you got crowned.
yeah. So it was fun, man. We had I don't know if y'all know about Power Hour, but we did a little Power Hour, and it was good with that.
My buddy Rexa has been wanting to FaceTime and do one of these power hours. He lives in San Diego. Yeah. But when we were in the military, bro, that was the thing. Like before the fights or before you went out, you do a power hour to like 90s music
That's
or rap.
Yeah.
Change it at the song.
It goes hard.
Drink at the song. Yeah.
All right, man. That's it. That's what I did. Well, that's it. Let's get into
251.
Let's get into 251 before we get to the saucy and the MLB and everything. Let's do 251. Let's start with the main event. 5 rounds.
Start with Max. Let's just go to Max.
Let's go Max. I mean, that's the one that means the most to us anyway.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Well, you know what? Let me just give my opinion, though.
You give it, Justin. Give it, Justin.
Does he deserve another rematch?
Damn it! Yes, he does.
You say it, Justin.
Yes, he does, man. He absolutely does.
I agree too.
And a lot of times I don't think people deserve a rematch when they lose 2
like
in a row.
Joanna.
But this is something different. He had the belt. He's defended it 5 times. He got 5 belts at home, and he won this one. And everybody says he won. I mean, even Big Mike McCarthy says he won. And if Big Mike McCarthy says he won, you give my boy a rematch.
Thank you, Justin. I'm not going to say anything else.
And that's all I can say about it because I'm upset now.
I'm upset too.
That's why I can't talk.
In my opinion, I thought he looked a lot better than the first fight.
He did.
And if that maybe he should just train through Zoom from here on out, bro, because he looked good. He looked good early. I mean, he dropped him twice, and coming into the fight, the whole talk was Volkanovski has the power. Volkanovski has the power. Max caught him. He switched it up. He was throwing uppercuts. He was throwing combos. He was throwing kicks. He looked good. I definitely think the fight turned in the 3rd round. Yeah. I think that's when Max started bleeding and Volkanovski really started working the kicks. And then he did get a takedown in the 4th. Didn't keep Max down for too long. He did a great job of bouncing right back up. And then Volkanovski got another late. Even though he started winning the striking, I believe Volkanovski did in the 4th and the 5th.
In the 4th and the 5th is where the numbers.
Max clearly won 1 and 2. I think the 3rd round is where if we just go back and rewatch the 3rd round, you don't have to watch the other 4 rounds of the 5-round fight. Just watch the 3rd, and whoever you think won that round won the fight. That's what it comes down to, because the other 4 were pretty clear. And obviously, he's a fan favorite. Dana White loves him. He was a great champion. And who's next in line in that division if you don't give him the 3rd shot? Like, a very controversial. If he gave Jose Aldo a title shot off of a loss against a new opponent, bro, he's giving Max Holloway another.
On the same circumstances, because Dana thought that
stepped up for him to fight Dustin Poirier at 155. He stepped up for him against Khabib, even though he wasn't able to make weight. He's in very good gracious with the boss.
And Dana said that he thought he won too. He even asked the reporters, did anybody else not think Max won?
He said, raise your hand if anybody thinks Volkanovski won that fight. He goes, wow, nobody has their hands raised. So I was glad to be on that end of it because there at Ron's Barbecue, I was able to take some friendly $20 bets, and Max Holloway was the popular guy on the night, and I won. But, bro, I'll tell you what, these split decision announcements, man, they were intense. This fight right here, you hear like 48,
Roses also
49-48, and then you hear the name, you hear Holloway, and when they say that, you know the next score is coming for the opponent, and then it just comes down to that 3rd judge, whatever he says, and after they read it, you know, we would go crazy in the garage or people would boo. But in the Rose fight, we'll just go right to the Rose fight. Another split decision. Awesome fight, dude. I mean, lately we've been getting some pretty good chick fights, some pretty good.
Rose is striking, dude. Oh my god, it's nice to watch.
Top notch.
Her movement, she was really like in and out, not standing in front of Andrade and really working the jab. I do think Andrade started figuring her out a little bit late in the 3rd. Had that been a 5-round fight, it would have been interesting as hell.
Yeah, I would have.
Because it was even a split decision at a 3-round fight, but I do think that the judges got it right. And I think that Rose won, and I think that sets her up for the fight against Wayne Lee. Wayne Lee wanted the fight.
Yeah, she wanted Rose already.
Yeah. I think if Rose had more power, man, she would be dangerous.
But if she had more power, she wouldn't have that quickness, Justin. So it's give or take, man. And at 115 pounds, I think that they fight at, or what is it, 125, 115?
115.
115, shit, you got to have the quickness there.
Yeah.
Save the power.
I like the way she fights a lot. It's a real pleasure to watch, for sure.
Hey, what do you think, just real quick, looking ahead, early prediction just off the top, no breakdown. does Rose regain her title?
No, I think Wei
Obviously
Li
get
has
the
too
title
much.
fight. Wei Li,
Yeah, she's gonna get the title fight, but I think Wei Li has too much.
just
Man, I'm thinking about the whole Joanna fight, and Joanna's tough. And Rose knocked Joanna.
True.
It'll be a close one. I think, because
gonna
that's
be a
going to be
5-round
standing.
or-
It's going to be a 5-round stander. And I think Rose has better stand up than Joanna. It's going to be close.
Okay. I'll take
It's close. I'll give you
I'll
that. I
take
think it's
Wei
close.
Li also, and I just think that although Joanna, she did go 5 with Wei Li, Joanna can take power. I don't think Rose can take
Yeah.
power. She didn't react too well. A couple of those shots that Andrade landed really startled
Props
her.
to Andrade.
Yeah.
Props to Andrade for staying in that
Andrade
fight.
got better,
I thought
too.
she was
For
down
sure.
2-0, but her striking looked good in that third. It
Yeah,
was
she didn't look
impressive.
so one-dimensional, just, power. She had some
I
striking.
think that Wei Li's power and her technical power will be too much for Rose because Andrade is not very technical. She just brings power. Wei Li's the total package.
Exactly.
That's why she's a champ.
It'll be good to see, though. I mean, that's a fight
And
that
the
I
main
think needs to
event?
be made.
The main event, I had a couple buddies saying, damn, they need to put Usman on fight nights. I said, shit, you beat the guy with all the hype and you still didn't gain any fans, bro? What
Well,
did y'all
he
think
just-
about the main event?
I thought Usman did what he needed to do. I mean, obviously he's not going to stand up with the
IQ?
guy. I mean,
IQ?
when it was
Discipline.
in the first round, it was clear. I thought to me that Masvidal won most of the standing exchanges when he was fresh, and I thought he got Usman pretty good a couple times. Where like you could tell those shots that he took hurt, but obviously Usman adjusted his game plan and was like, hey, I'm not going to play this game because all of us here, we had Usman on the consensus bet for the podcast, and I was getting a little nervous. I'm like, what if he starts standing up with George? But I think it was towards the end of that first when he started implementing the cage on
the
George
clinch
and
on the clinch.
and that's all she wrote. From there,
And
that's
honestly, bro, surprisingly enough, the referee didn't separate him. I think only about one time. He
you think he
either
was
got
good?
him up or separated them.
he was giving him credit for those toe stomps, and that's
Hey.
about the time I went to bed, bro. In the fourth round, I was like, you know what, I'm going to sleep because this is
For real?
over. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was watching that at my crib, and
That's why we put our consensus on a guy like Usman, just because you know what you're gonna get. It was the same thing with Blades, and they'll even tell you, "Hey, man, we don't care. Like, we're not here to win fans this fight. I'm here to keep my belt and keep getting paid the way I get paid. Because if I don't have this belt, my pay's definitely gonna go down based on my fights and my draw. So
And what I sell.
Usman is just high IQ. He tied GSP for the record. His next fight, and rolling the toe stomps, bro, I'll say I retweeted a video that said like Usman's training camp, and it was just a guy just smashing cans, with his foot, bro. Hilarious.
Saw that, dog.
Hilarious. But Usman, so what's next? What's next for Usman?
Burns, yeah. I mean, I think they already said it.
You don't think that they make Burns fight maybe somebody like Leon Edwards?
No, his
I
title match ready.
I saw somebody suggest that. I saw Ariel Helwani. He suggested it. And
that was beef, actually.
And he said it was only right. And then Gilbert, he comes out and is like, hey, man, I know you don't like me, but that's BS. He's like, look at my victories. He dominated Tyron Woodley, as much as it pains me to say. But he did dominate him, and he has a couple of other big victories under his belt. And I think it's a little bit better of a resume than Leon Edwards, especially when you put in that Woodley victory at the end of it.
The one thing I will say for Leon Edwards is the 8-fight win streak, bro.
Yeah.
Usually when you get win streaks that high, but I agree with you all, and I think that it should be Burns only because it's a more interesting fight.
Training camp.
Burns went over there. Burns has been stepping up for the UFC. Burns has been finishing his fights. Leon Edwards tends to go to decision. Right. They split teams. The damage is done. Like, give the guy the shot. I do understand the argument for Leon Edwards, but the one reason I'll say don't give that number one contender fight between Leon Edwards and Burns is because Edwards couldn't make the fight against Woodley.
And Edwards already fought Usman.
And then they offered him something on short notice as well, and he said that he couldn't based on his situation. When Gilbert Burns has been stepping up for the UFC, so they feel the need to repay him. And honestly, it makes the most sense. It's a fresh matchup, like Justin said. He hasn't fought him, And Usman's not going to want to take him to the ground, bro, because he's a decorated black belt. So I think that we're going to get a Colby Covington Usman type of fight. And those are the type of fights that Usman could win fans on, only if that would have been his matchup for this fight. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to stand with Masvidal.
Yeah.
But with Burns, you're going to have to stand.
Burns is a really good matchup for Masvidal. Like, because you know how matchups make fights. That's going to be tough for Masvidal. If we want to see Masvidal have a tough fight in the welterweight division, it's a guy like Burns. After that, if somehow Usman gets past Burns, dude, Usman, he's clear, man. I don't know who's going to beat him, honestly.
Yeah, and that fight could be before the end of the year too, because Usman didn't get touched very much, man.
Just back to, who can beat Usman or whatever. I think if you give George, and I saw a lot of people saying this, and I don't think I'm going to put too much weight on it, but I do think if you give him a full training camp and he goes in there 100%, not having to burn 20 plus pounds in 6 days, I think you get a little bit more of a fresher fighter, and I think you get a little bit more of a closer contest between the two.
So you see a different winner? If with a full camp, do you see a different winner? I do think it's closer. I agree with you.
I don't even think it's closer.
Masvidal kind of gassed, but at least now Usman felt him out and shit. So it might.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's closer, but I would still lean towards Usman as the favorite. Right. I think he would probably still try and implement the same game plan because he doesn't want to stand with Masvidal. I think that's pretty clear. But yeah, I don't know for Masvidal though. Just sticking with him before we move on from the main event. Or from UFC, what do you think's next for him? Do you think he goes into that Nate Diaz fight? Or man, I don't think Covington wants to see Masvidal, man. After what I don't know.
Put the BMF belt up against Covington, and it'll get his ass running over there, bro.
The fight that is going to be next for Masvidal will be Stephen Thompson.
I think it's Covington.
They're going to run that back.
They're going to run it back. Masvidal wants that more than anything because he feels like he could have won that one.
Did he say that in his post-fight?
He said that. He's been saying that a few times already.
Okay, it makes sense because it would just be a stand-up fight. He knows that Stephen Thompson's not going to shoot the takedown, and Masvidal just wants to stand. But with the way he defended the takedowns against Usman, I know he got taken down a couple times, but he was able to get up also.
Yeah, and even
he was even able to stuff some, bro. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he did a lot better than I thought he was going to do defending the takedowns. I thought he was going to spend a lot more time on his back. But against Colby, I think he could defend Colby's takedowns because he's not as physically strong as Usman. Yeah. But Colby does have the gas tank, but Masvidal would have the full training camp. So I really want to see that fight. I thought it was cool that Masvidal told Usman, hey, I'm going to win 2 more and we're going to run it back.
I heard that.
He didn't say I want an automatic rematch with a full training camp. He said, hey, we're going to run 2. They even dapped it up, bro. And there was a lot of animosity around them. They really didn't like each other, but they duke it out and they respect each other. It was cool.
I got a question here. Let's say they do Masvidal Colby. Does that draw heavier than Masvidal Usman?
100%.
Is the bad blood?
Probably on an individual fight, but
it
just depends on the card.
Yeah, just talking individual fight.
The only way you get that on a pay-per-view main event is if the BMF belt is up on the line because that's what it's there for. It's got to be a title fight. All pay-per-views have to be a title fight unless it's Conor.
Man, I wonder if Colby would take that fight though. I'm just.
If they told him you beat Masvidal, you get a title shot, he'd have to.
Yeah,
he would have to. He'd have no choice. That's the fight to make, bro.
That'd be a good fight. No, for sure. I would love the.
They used to be homies. They used to train together. They hate each other now.
Yeah, I would love the build-up. The build-up would be hilarious.
Yeah. And then it might not even take 2 fights from Masvidal. He could just beat Colby and get a rematch.
Yeah. For sure.
Colby's like number.
Now he's in good graces for sure.
Yeah. What about Aldo? I thought if it was a 3-round fight, he might have had a shot.
Yeah, he impressed me. I thought he took maybe 1 round for sure, 2 rounds.
2.
Looked pretty good.
I thought he broke his rib in the first round, man.
Mm-hmm.
That looked bad. I thought it was all over for him at that point, but he was able to recover. And man, I thought, and I know a lot of people on Twitter were talking about this, but I did think he took an unnecessary beating at the end. I thought there was a couple of points where they could have stopped it, man. Because he was just usually, you have to be defending yourself, like trying to get out of it or fight back or something. But he just had he was in the fetal position almost.
Bro. Just turtled up.
Yeah, turtled up. and getting wailed on.
Terrible.
And those are the guys but Roland, when they're goats, the referees, I guess, tend to give them the benefit of the doubt, bro, because you gotta call that.
Man, but I've seen some stoppages that are super, super like quick, and you're just like, what
Exactly.
the heck? And then you see guys that are getting wailed on. It's ridiculous.
But that's what I'm saying for the
No
refs. Like
intelligent defense on
when
his
they
part.
see a guy,
Exactly.
fight for a decade and see what he could take, they tend to give him the benefit of the doubt, and then it's for a belt also. I mean, that was definitely worse than what happened to Dominic Cruz. I will say he has an argument if he's comparing it to this fight. Not what happened in the first round with the broken rib, but late in the fifth. I thought it was 2-2 going into the fifth. I thought that Aldo had won the second and the third round. I thought he finally went back to the leg kicks. He even made Jan switch up his stance a couple of times because of how bad he was hitting that kick. But he got worn out, and Jan, being the younger, fresher fighter, kept the output. And man, he put a beating on his ass.
It was 62-1 in striking in the fifth round or something like that. It's ridiculous.
And that also, you got to think for Jan. I mean, obviously he went for it, but I had it 2-2 going into the fifth. I didn't see the unofficial scorecards after because it was a stoppage. Obviously, they didn't read them to us. But honestly, I had it 2-2 going into the fifth, and I had the fifth winning it. And Jan left no doubt about that, bro.
Yeah.
So what's next,
I thought you could
Aljamain?
make an argument for 2. Yeah, I think that's only right. It's his rightful opponent.
Oh, but Dana White wasn't even that sure about that. After they asked him in the post fight, and he said, "Oh, we'll see what's next." Bro, Aljamain Sterling will beat Peter Yan.
I think so.
I hope so.
Beat Peter Yan.
You know who was...
Aldo looked good against him, man. Aldo looked pretty good against him, bro. Funk Master's gonna be long. He's gonna wrestle him. I really like that fight for Aljamain.
You know who was nonstop tweeting about these fights?
Who was that?
Mr. Retired.
Triple C.
Triple C.
Triple C.
Triple C.
Yeah.
Really? What was he saying? I wasn't paying
That he
attention.
could beat Jan. He wants Volkanovski. I mean, it's everywhere.
And that's because he made the trip with Usman, bro. He was on the PJ with Usman to the island. So he was either in attendance or at the hotel
This
watching.
is on Twitter. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But he was on one. He was probably crunk tweeting all that shit.
So
it's pretty cool they put the live tweets,
He's going to come out of retirement soon enough.
UFC 251, they had people in the stands. Now, I don't know exactly who they were. It wasn't fans, according to Dana, but it was people who tested and were cleared.
Well, it could have been people like Henry Cejudo, who showed up with Kamaru Usman. Matt Serra was another guy. Like
that may be who it was.
Right.
Did you hear any noise from the stands or anything?
I wasn't really listening. It was kind of loud.
I wasn't listening for it, too.
What I will say, though, bringing up the tweets, going into that fifth round, I don't know if you saw it, but somebody tweeted the live line for the Holloway and Volkanovski fight, and Max Holloway was minus 200 entering the fifth round.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw
that. And so, speaking of plays, someone put 200K on Masvidal.
I saw that at the last minute, 200 plus 220 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
They wouldn't have done that
card,
shit if they were listening to the We Talking About Sports podcast.
That's the thing. You gotta listen
I
to
would have
this.
known.
I'll tell you that. But yeah, bro, it was a good opener. We got the fight on Wednesday. We got another fight on Saturday, and then more fights next weekend on the island. So they definitely started with a bang, and everything's been running smooth for the UFC, man. Got to tip your hat to them. They're making it work with what they do, whether it be recycling fighters that win, but they're not missing a show, man, and everybody's watching.
Mm-hmm. Man, it's so impressive what the UFC is doing right now with all these fights.
Getting
them going, and it's nice.
And as much precaution as they're taking, Justin, like you see that these fighters got to test it. They got to fly to Vegas, test there, then fly to the island, test there, then quarantine there, and then be able to get out. It doesn't matter if you're John Anik or if you're a fighter, everybody's doing it. So it's a really good job, man.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, we had run a contest. Bet King ran a contest, and we announced it through here, and he had 2 winners, man. Congratulations to those 2 winners.
And somebody who's in our actual We Talk About Sports UFC Pick'em contest, Roland Gonzalez, ended up having a perfect 5-0 card with
Good job, Roland,
Usman
man.
by decision.
Shout out.
him and somebody else ended up splitting it, the 250, and they each got 125 in free play, and they got hooked up with an account. So
Hey,
that's
Ben,
what's
you want to
up.
run over those numbers, the podcast pick 'em right now?
Well, no, we'll do that right before we start the breakdown of the cards.
All right, sounds good. Well, then let's get into some saucy. I want to know about college football,
Yeah.
MLB, and NFL Rona updates.
Yeah, so man, college football story is with a bunch of the Division One schools testing positive left and right. Ohio State sent home their players from individual workouts. I know a couple of other big name programs have had to do the same. But the big news that really broke these past couple days and weeks has been the decision for the Ivy League to shut down sports until January 1st. So that's going to affect big sports like football and basketball for the Ivy League. So
They make the
I don't know
tournament
what.
basketball.
The
Yeah, and
Patriot
they
League as
usually
well.
do. Yeah, Patriot League decided. So you're going to see a lot of these smaller divisions, teams that don't, or conferences that don't generate as much money, decide to shut down their sports season because it's going to end up costing them too much money to run these sports with no fans or what have you, no revenue being gained other than maybe like TV deals, which for some of these smaller schools is they're aired on the Facebook network or something like that. It's not like they're on ESPN at 12 o'clock on Saturday. So a little bit of a different scale for these smaller schools. So you guys got to keep that in mind when you hear them canceling.
Friday Night Hoops is the
Yeah.
Ivy. Hey, Roland, let me ask you a question just real quick on that.
What's up?
With those leagues like the Patriot League and the Ivy League, their tournament winner or however they sort that out, getting an automatic bid to the tournament,
Man,
how does
you
that
know,
affect that?
I don't know how.
Play their
I-
tournament?
I honestly don't know how that's going to affect it yet. I think we're going to have to see how the rest of the season progresses, because I know the football season gets off, plays for a couple weeks, and then college basketball gets going around when October-ish.
November, early November, late October.
Yeah, around that time.
Same time as the NBA.
So there's a little bit of time for basketball, but obviously the Patriot League and the Ivy League got shut down. But that's a good question. I mean, if January 1st is their start time, maybe they play a conference schedule. And to your point, the automatic bidder or the automatic winner goes in,
Or
the winner of the conference tournament.
Or the
Just playing a conference
NCAA
schedule.
says you played less games and you're fresher and you don't qualify based on your schedule, and
That's
we
true,
put
too.
more big schools in that draw more money.
Well, I can also imagine that, as the football divisions or the football conferences decide to start playing against each other, what if we see the ACC come out and say, hey, we're just going to play our conference schedule for basketball. We're just going to see Duke versus Syracuse versus North Carolina like 3 times every couple of weeks or something like that, and then other conferences follow. So
You think they would play each other more than 2 times if they're only playing their conference schedule, or they would eliminate one
Probably.
conference and only play conference?
I think that's a very good question, but I haven't really heard much on college basketball. I think that's probably going to be the next sport that we start hearing about their plans for return, because they got to start practicing, I imagine, around now, really. I mean, they usually have summer workouts and stuff like that, which they're obviously not having right now. So
They have those scrimmages with the new guys usually in August.
They do their little intros in front of the stadiums.
But they have college football to set an example, right?
Exactly. So I think we're going to see what happens with college football.
I don't think we see a national championship in college football this year.
I think they're going to find a way to do it, because, I mean, all the big conferences are going to play each other, I think. The Pac-12 is going to play the Pac-12. The SEC is going to play the SEC. I think the Pac-12 and Big Ten have already announced that they're just playing intra-conference games.
Right.
So you got to imagine that the rest are going to follow suit. I don't think it makes sense for everybody else to risk their players like that, traveling across the country. So I think that's the best way to mitigate risk, is just keep it in the region. If anything, I mean, I think it's kind of silly that they're gonna play, but when most schools might be going remote or not having guys or having students on the actual campus, just makes you wonder, what's the difference? I mean, I know the difference. These guys that are on the football field, they help contribute to millions and millions of dollars being generated. And me taking my Chem 1 class, they can really care less if I'm there in the dorm or in my apartment doing it on my computer. So a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah.
Keeping it or moving off of college football, just real quick. MLB, Aroldis Chapman, he tested positive for the coronavirus. And the thing that's a little concerning, I don't know about the extent of his symptoms or what he's going through, but they already said that he's out for the foreseeable future. You never like to hear something like that when there's no end date or no timetable for a player. I mean, he is a closer, but he is their big name closer that shuts down games for them with his vaunted fastball. So that's going to be shaky for the
Corona?
Yeah, COVID-19. Yeah.
Shit, I wanted to make a joke, but I'm not even going to make a joke about it.
Yeah, and a couple of other teams, man, are getting dismantled already. Like I know the Cardinals are going through some things too. I don't know their players off the top of my head, but I was reading that their pitching situation's already a little shaky. I think they had one guy test positive. But speaking of MLB, and the last one with them, it's another big name player. He doesn't have the coronavirus, but his name is Buster Posey, and he has opted out for the restart of the 60-game season for the MLB. Him and his wife did just give birth to twin girls a couple of weeks ago. Or wait, no, excuse me, take that back. They did not. They did not give birth to twin girls. They adopted twin girls. Excuse me. I read that wrong. But still, nonetheless, he's starting a family, or he had some additions to the family. He's going to want to play it safe. I want to be around them rather than go back and restart. So, yeah, that's a big-name player. Do you think we're going to see any other big-name players in the MLB? I know Mike Trout said he was a little unwary, although he's already showed up and has been practicing and whatnot. So, do you think anybody...
There's certain situations already. I don't know if you heard Correa told his wife to stop going to salons and stop getting her hair done so he doesn't get it and stuff.
Bro, the Astros are locked in on this, bro. They're like, hey, we don't got fans in the stands. We got 60 games to keep Verlander and Greinke fresh. We got colors back. The Astros are all in. They're not with the bullshit.
11 days away, right?
You see, and honestly, guys, I don't see how long the season goes, man. I think they said like 2 Saturdays from now we'll have baseball, maybe, or
the 24th is the start date, opening day.
Yeah, 10 days.
Yeah, we're still setting records out here.
So. Bro, I don't know how long it lasts. They're going to be flying from city to city to play games, but I think it will start.
It's going to start.
Just because of all the shit they went through to get it started, man. I'm
going to be sad if they cancel up.
But
they better not tease me and then stop.
Good news for us. The Astros look to be locked in, man.
Yeah.
If Correa's telling his wife stuff like that, like, hey, just don't put me in danger because we're going for it, baby.
Yeah, he doesn't want to have a positive test for sure.
Hey, he's going to go Zohan on her and start fixing her hair.
Yeah, I can see Correa doing that. Talented man. Last Rona update, though, is the NFL. This is kind of like a little silly update. A lot of players have been giving it crap, but the NFL has actually decided to put an end to the jersey swap for this year. So there will be no jersey swap, and I think there's going to be like limited dapping on the field after the game. And a lot of players are questioning, saying, hey, man, why can we tackle each other? Why am I going to play man-to-man coverage on somebody breathing all over somebody? And at the end of the game, we can't switch jerseys. Like that's pretty stupid. Like you kind of have your mind in the wrong place if you're canceling or putting an end to jersey swaps. But moving on is normal with everything else. Although I don't know what you can change to the sport. But yeah, a lot of players were up in arms about it. I thought it was pretty silly for the NFL to do that.
And honestly, I think that's going to get changed if they have a season, bro, because a lot of people were against that. How are you going to have them tackling each other and beating the hell out of each other for an hour? And then after the game, he can't go and trade jerseys with somebody to add to the collection and take home and remember this battle or whatever it may be?
Exactly.
It's pretty crazy. Deshaun Watson had something to say about it. Several Texas
Darius Slay.
Laramie Tunsil, Darius Slay, a lot of people weren't with it, bro. And honestly,
Richard Sherman chimed in.
But Richard Sherman's got a problem with everything.
Yeah, with everything.
I'm surprised he's not like the president of their union, bro. Because if he was, the
He's
players
on his way, I think.
winning, bro.
He's on his
The
way. I
players-
like Richard Sherman. He always has something good to say or something good to add for sure.
Yeah.
But it's a couple of other NFL Rona updates just to finish off kind of the rules that came out. There will be no on-field fan seating. I didn't even know that was a thing. I guess fans are able to go onto the
LA
field.
Cowboy Stadium.
Where Mayweather was with
Yeah.
the Rams.
Okay, so you can't be doing that this season. Both teams must travel to the stadium via bus. I don't know if that means like the traveling team has to fly all the way in there. But yeah, both teams have to travel to the stadium via bus. It's very vague. I'm just reading off a tweet.
But only to stadium.
Yeah, only to the stadium, exactly.
I was gonna say, so
And-
they don't have to make the cross-country trip on the Greyhound. Then they could fly and then just
Team
from the
plane.
Yeah, team plane. Yeah, exactly. And then just drive in.
And then from the hotel on a bus over.
And then no media in the locker room, which I think is kind of an obvious one.
Safe.
Just gotta keep it safe, and most of the players don't want them in there anyways.
What I'm interested in is to see what kind of equipment gets made to combat Rona. I heard Oakley created some kind of
Oakley made a
face shield
visor.
visor
Yeah.
already.
That shit looks like it break, bro, when the nose tackle headbutts him.
We'll see what happens though. Let's see what else they can come up with.
But not even what they
See where
Innovations are
technology
born.
goes.
But let's see if they use it, Justin. It's all
Yeah.
about dollars. It's not about safety with the NFL, bro.
Let's
It's all
see.
about dollars, not what makes sense.
It's just holding my interest right now, at least.
Yeah, smart of
Yeah,
Oakley.
that was-
though. Smart of Oakley.
That's going to be interesting. I am interested to see what innovations come out. I know we were joking around with the mask that people were putting onto or photoshopping onto helmets built
Yeah.
in with the team logo and stuff.
That one
but,
looked pretty cool.
it did look pretty cool, but I don't
But
know
it
how
looked like it'd
feasible
be
it is.
tough to play in. Yeah.
Yeah, but so yeah, that's it for the NFL update, and I think that's it really for the sauce. Oh well, actually, I do want to say one thing. The MLS is looking a little shaky with some of their coronavirus testing. I know they had to postpone a game because a couple of players tested positive.
Teams had to cancel.
Right before, yeah, teams had to cancel it, and they were there like at the stadium, ready to go, but they had a couple guys on their game day roster that tested positive, so they ended up having to suspend those games. So it's looking a little shaky for the MLS. They had already started off shaky. They had a lot of positive tests upon arrival to the bubble.
And teams
So
not
just make-
participating.
Yeah, and teams not participating, so it's looking bad for them, but they're getting through. I don't know who's spending time watching the MLS games right now. I know I'm not. It's not very good quality soccer.
Not even a bet on it.
To begin with, and then with the Rona, it's even a little more sloppier with the suspension that they've had in play. But yeah, that wraps up the Saucy update. And I know we already touched on the NBA and the bubble and what's going on in there. Do you guys want to do the quick NBA stuff that we have before we do UFC, or
Yeah, let's
or
do
not?
that.
Let's just talk about Watch a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean,
And the Rondo injury.
yeah, I do want to talk about Rondo because he came up with a serious hand injury, and as you know, they were already missing Avery Bradley because he opted not to join the team in the bubble, so they were a little shorthanded at the guard position. They had picked up Dion Waiters, and they did pick up J.R. Smith.
Young
But-
J.R.
Actually, just to throw a little wrench in the conversation, their odds don't really take much of a hit without Rajon Rondo. They're
Rondo
actually
slows us down.
8.1 points better in net rating per 100 possessions with Rondo on the bench, and that makes sense because Rondo, he's not going to give you much on offense other than trying to be that floor general and set guys up for alley-oops or for assists, but I mean, he's a guy that you leave open at the three-point line, and I think that's been proven over the course of his career. So he doesn't take much of a hit, their chances don't take much of a hit, and then you add on the fact that everybody's favorite Laker is going to get some more playing time, Mr. Alex Caruso.
Mr.
I
5
think you
points
guys gotta-
per game.
You
Mr.
guys
5
got to
points
feel
per
Hey,
game.
why Mamba?
Jesus Christ, bro. The fascination with Alex Caruso baffles me. Ugly dude, bro. Like, he dunks every now and then, and bro, he averages 5 points per game, has never been in the playoffs,
got springs.
and now he's the answer, fam. He's the answer. Get out of here, bro.
It's Caruso.
Look, I'm not saying he's trash.
He's not,
I'm not
man.
saying
He's pretty good.
But don't throw his name out as the answer. That's all I'm saying. Don't do
Cook is
that.
there too.
And Roland, those stats are interesting only because if I ask both of you, if LeBron isn't setting up people for open shots or alley-oops, who's doing it on the Lakers?
Probably Rondo or I don't know who else is there.
Or Rondo or
Caruso.
Come on, fam. Come on. Hey, why are you gassing these guys up?
Dude, I don't know who else is on the team.
You're a
besides
Laker fan.
those
Oh,
guys.
Bradley, but Bradley's gone.
Yeah, Bradley's gone.
So I do think that this is a hit for the Lakers. I do think that it hurts their odds a bit, bro. Because if LeBron's not in the game, who's going to be running? It's going to be like when the Rockets have Harden in the game. It's
We'll talk about it again when I'm holding the ship, dog. That's all I got to say.
Right.
Justin's not scared. Justin's not scared.
I'm not here for this talk right now.
I'm not saying he's the biggest offensive weapon. All I'm saying is with Avery Bradley out or Rondo being out does hurt you. Because now you're relying on Kuzma and you're relying on Caruso.
This sounds like a
never seen
poll.
Playoffs.
Sounds like a Twitter poll. Do the Lakers' chances take a hit with Rondo out? Yes or no?
Yes.
I think we should get that going.
Look at me. I ain't worried.
I know, but you're a homer, cuz.
Justin's not worried.
Because you love
Personally, myself, if I were a Lakers fan, I might not be so worried either, knowing that he's out. Of course, I'd rather have him on there, but just looking at the numbers and looking at some of the other options that they have, I think they'd be better suited. I'd take Quinn Cook maybe, give him some minutes. He's a good shooter. He's a streaky shooter. He can hit a couple in a row if you get him going, and he knows how to run the point. I don't know how much confidence you have in him, but him and Caruso, and then with the other guards that they have, and then of course LeBron's going to be running point like 70% of the time in the playoffs now. So I think they'll be fine, and maybe Rondo joins them in the playoffs. But the big news, non-player, but we all know him. He's our favorite scoop guy.
Bomb.
News to me because I wasn't here for this news, so I'm gonna learn on this one.
Bombs. I wish we had the bomb button and we could just.
I know. I wish we had some sound effects because this is pretty crazy. So there was a email surfacing around between the Missouri Republican senator. I don't know his name. Senator Hawley was blasting the NBA for the Beijing and refusing to support U.S. military and law enforcement. I don't know what they're talking about. Something to go on in China. And Waj was on this email and as part of the press release, and he just responded with a simple "fuck you," or just an F-bomb he dropped on him. To which Hawley, playing a little snitch here, can't defend himself. Has to go to Twitter or has to go to Instagram and post the exchange, post the DMs. Goes out there, posts it. Probably complains a little bit to the NBA and to the powers that be, and lo and behold, our favorite scoop man, Adrian Wojnarowski, is suspended, and he hasn't tweeted since. I don't know what's going on with my life. It's feeling a little weird right now.
He would have broke that Westbrook news had he not been suspended. It's only the NBA's loss.
It's open season. It's open season for Shams.
Exactly.
It's open season for Shams right now.
This is the passing of the torch to Shams, baby.
But unrightfully, it's not right though, because Waj was dominating this season. I thought he was dominating the scoops.
The way it goes sometimes. The star player gets hurt.
But I will say, like Ben just said it though. Ben said it before the whole passing of the torch. ESPN's the only one that's hurting from this. Yeah. Because ESPN needs Waj to be dropping the bombs and to be constantly in everybody's feed giving them the news. Because who else is going to do it? Are you going to have Adam Schefter do double duty now and go to the NBA, send him to the bubble and risk him for the NFL? I don't know if you can do that. So the ESPN's losing out here. And I don't know what's going to happen with Waj. Honestly, it's a little scary because they haven't said when he's coming back. I haven't been able to find when.
And it's without pay, too.
So, yeah, man, that's a little messed up for something that I think is a little silly. I mean, come on. He just...
Sports.
Yeah,
my question, though. Did Waj send that email with his personal email or on his company email?
Well, it was part of a press release, so I imagine it was his company email. Or
gangster.
I guess I see why now.
Yeah.
ESPN called it completely unacceptable behavior.
But honestly, what the hell does the senator of Mississippi or Missouri have to say about the NBA in Beijing? Like, bro, go walk the streets of Missouri. Shut the hell up.
And so everybody on Twitter
Maybe
that
it
I
was
saw,
bait and watch ticket. I mean, I don't know.
hashtag free wash. That's all I gotta say. Hashtag free wash. Gotta
I don't
get
think
him out
that
of the
he'll.
chocolate.
I don't think that. I still think that he'll be with ESPN because, like we've been stressing, he's just too damn valuable, bro.
Yeah.
He's in good graces with
Yeah.
everybody. He's got the scoop.
Yeah, you don't want Fox to get the scoop over ESPN. I mean, that's gonna hurt.
Exactly. He would
You don't
never
want
go
him
to Fox.
sitting over there with Uncle Shannon
Uncle Shay
and
Shay.
old Skip. You don't want
Or
him
what if
going
he
to
just
Club
goes back-
Shay Shay.
He goes back to Yahoo, and him and Shams just start dominating as a Yahoo
shit, right,
team.
the
That'd be
return
crazy.
All of a sudden,
Yeah, just
Yahoo
end
News
it.
is real news.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, gotta shout out. I guess Shams now. He's gonna be the main scoop guy. So we'll see.
Doesn't
But
feel
it's
right.
not like
Doesn't
the
feel
wash
right.
bomb.
He dropped
Not
that
like the
Westbrook
wash
There's
bomb.
no sham bomb. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we need a wash bomb.
It's a sham wow.
Hey, he does the Sham God.
Yeah.
Oh, the sham. I like
Sham
that.
God.
Drop the sham.
All
Shout out,
right.
Sham.
Well, that's it for NBA. All right, following up after UFC 251, we got another fight night. And it's kind of fight week if you in reality because they're going to be putting on
Hell yeah.
2 weeks worth of or was it 2 months UFC's events in 2 weeks or something along the lines of like that. So we got
Yeah.
Danny Gay and Calvin Kattar, and then we're gonna have Davison Figueroa and Joseph Benavidez highlighting the other card. So let's get
On
into it,
Saturday.
man. Let's tell us.
Yeah,
about
man.
the
The Wednesday card. So for the pick'em contest, we're gonna be picking, I believe it's 4 fights. For this Wednesday card, the Ige and Cater headlined one. So we're gonna start in the featherweight division with Chris Fishgold with an 18-3 record against Jared Flash Gordon with a 15-4 record. And Gordon is actually the favorite coming into the fight, a minus 150 favorite. The comeback on Fishgold is plus 120. Chris Fishgold, he trains out of Next Generation UK, so he's a fighter from the UK. He's coming into a lot. He's coming in off a loss to Americani, somebody who actually fought on the card on Saturday. Ended up winning that fight by anaconda choke, and he actually beat Fishgold by the exact same way.
what a choke that was.
Yeah, Americani's known for that anaconda choke. Really good, but yeah, Fishgold. Another loss that he has is to Calvin Kattar, the guy who's headlining this. So he's fought pretty stiff competition as far as UFC losses. He's got to go for the takedown. The dude has 12 sub wins out of his 18 wins. So I do think that he's going to be shooting for the takedown, and I think that if he's able to get the takedown, he should be pretty good with the sub. He's 1-2 in the UFC, but like I said, the losses have been to Americani and Calvin Kattar. As far as Gordon, he trains out of Rufus Sport up there in Milwaukee with the Pettis brothers and them. 2-3 in his last 5 fights. He's coming in off a loss to Dubronx, and he also lost to Carlos Diego Ferreira, one of the favorite fighters of the podcast. So he's been up against stiff competition as well, man. But he wants to stand and bang. He's not going to want to take it to the ground. And with this one, I think that Fishgold's kind of going to get his way. And I think that he's going to get the takedown and get the sub. So I'm going to go with the underdog, and I'm going to take Fishgold.
Yeah, I like that pick. Much of the same for me. I'm going to be going with Chris Fishgold here. I think he's going to get it to the ground, and if he doesn't get the sub, I think he's going to control most of the match from that perspective or from that vantage point. So yeah, give me Fishgold. Short dog.
You know, I'm gonna go with Flash Gordon, just based on nickname.
I like the Flash Gordon.
Like the Flash, baby.
Yeah,
All right. Well, in the featherweight division, we got Jimmy El Terror Rivera with a 22-4 record. Coming in against Cody the Spartan Stamen with a 19-2 record. Now, Cody Stamen has fought already in the COVID era, and last time we broke down his fight, I went back to our notes for that card. His nickname was Mr. Wonderful. So I guess that he changed his nickname after his last fight because now he's a Spartan. But anyways, he's a plus 105 underdog, short underdog to Jimmy Rivera as a minus 135 favorite. Rivera trains out of Tiger Shulman. Up there with our boy Hurricane Shane Burgos, even though he lost. But Jimmy Rivera came up to the World Series of Fighting and Bellator, so he's paid his dues.
Season.
Yeah, 16 decision wins out of 22, man. So he's a point kickboxer for the most part. Right now, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. That was to Aljamain Sterling, the #1 contender, and now champion Peter Yan. So the dude's lost to the elite. His only other UFC loss, so he has 3 UFC losses, was to Marlon Moraes, another guy who we saw challenge for the belt recently. So Jimmy Rivera is going to prefer to keep this fight standing. He's going to point fight, try and keep his distance with a little jab and leg kicks. As far as Stamen, he trains at a Michigan top team. He's actually 5-1-1 in the UFC, and his one loss was to Sterling. So both of these guys, common opponent in Aljamain Sterling, and Sterling took care of both guys, which is why Aljamain Sterling deserves the title shot, because he's taking care of business. But Stamen, like I said, he won a unanimous decision over Kelleher on that June 9th card. And like we had mentioned, his brother had passed, so he was fighting with a heavy heart. But man, a quick turnaround for him, because a month later he's fighting again. So he's riding the momentum. I like this to be a stand-up fight. If Stamen wants to take him down, I think that he can shoot and get a couple of takedowns, maybe to steal rounds at the end of the round. So I'm going to go with another dog and go with Cody Stamen here.
Who do you like, Justin?
I like Jimmy Rivera. He's beat John Dodson. He's beat Thomas Almeida. Lost to some of the best, which is Jan Sterling and Marlon Moraes. So he's been at the top. He knows what it takes. He's beat Faber. I like Jimmy Rivera for this one.
And this is a tough one for me. And I want to stay away from recency bias, because the last fighter that I did see fight was Cody Stamen, coming off of that controversial victory back at one of the fight nights in Las Vegas. I think Stamen's going to get this fight done. I think he's the bigger fighter. He has at least a 3-inch height advantage on Jimmy Rivera. I think Stamen's a pretty solid striker. He doesn't throw a lot of looping punches. So I think he's going to get this one done. Give me another short dog.
All right, rolling. Hoping we're on a couple of opposite here, brother.
We were in the last one.
We're on one. In the welterweight division, coming up next, Abdul Judo Thunder Razak Al Hassan with a 10-1 record against Monir Sniper Lazez with a 9-1 record. Judo Thunder Razak Al Hassan, a -345 favorite. The comeback on Lazez is +260. Listen, don't go to the bathroom. Give this fight 5 minutes and it will end. This fight will be over in the first round. Razak Al Hassan, every fight that he's won, he's got a 10-1 record. All 10 wins are by first round knockout. That one loss was a decision. Lazez, that one loss it is Lazez. The one loss that he has, man, it was a 5-round decision. So both guys' losses have been by decision. Both guys get pretty busy striking. They like to get in and out of there, quick paydays. Razak Al Hassan, he made his UFC debut November 26th, 53-second KO. 10-1 as a pro, all 10 wins by knockout. Like I said, that one loss that he had was to Omar Akhmedov. That dude, Omar Akhmedov, has one loss in his career, and that loss was to Khabib. So that was pretty stiff competition. It was a Russian wrestler. In this fight, I expect it to be all stand-up, and I expect Razak Al Hassan to have another highlight reel KO here in the first round. The line, I mean, this is a parlay piece, you could say. Maybe we can figure something out for this one in a parlay, but I do like the under. It's got to be set at 1.5, and I like this one to end early. So I like the under in this fight, and I like Razak Al Hassan.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the big favorite in this one. I'm not much thought going into that other than he's the more seasoned UFC fighter here. He has a pretty stout history of victories. I mean, Nico Price was his last victory. So definitely like what I saw of him last time. So yeah, give me the large favorite here.
Yeah, Judo Thunder for me. Same reason why I saw that Nico Price fight, and Nico Price is a tough dude, and you knocked him out.
Yep.
I like your chances
Great
of knocking
fight.
out this sniper
That-
guy.
That Monier guy, I will say he's used to fighting in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain, so he is from over there. You know what I mean?
There's no
So-
fans though, so it doesn't matter. to
Yeah,
me.
saw
no,
that.
but no jet lag. No
Sure
jet
Dog
lag.
didn't.
True.
Sure Dog didn't have an age for him. I thought that was weird.
Yeah,
Age unknown.
Razak Al Hassan is from Texas, and Monier trains with Team Noguera, so it's going to be interesting. I just expect it to be standing in a quick KO. We might have a little parlay piece here with something later on the card, maybe, or is it up next on the card in the featherweight division? 6th-ranked Calvin, the Boston finisher, Cater. 21-4 record against the number 10 ranked Dan 50K Ige with a 14-2 record.
50K.
Yeah, I do like that nickname, man, and I am a
Dope
fan
nickname.
of Dan Ige. The Ige's a plus 240 dog. Cater's a minus 320 favorite. We saw Cater finish Jeremy Stevens during the COVID era. Both fighters have fought under the COVID era.
Burgos.
Both have gotten wins. Dan Ige did get that split decision win. Very controversial win over Edson Barboza,
Yep.
which I thought that Barboza actually won. And like I said, Cater finished Jeremy Stevens with that right hand and then the elbows on the ground. But for
Dirty.
Calvin, he trains out of Carlos Neto BJJ. He's looking to get into the top 5. He's ranked number 6. You get this win. Kind of weird that he's fighting Dan Ige, a guy who wasn't ranked, beat Barboza and got number 10 ranking. He's fighting pretty far back, Cater, as far as usually you want to fight forward and get closer to the title.
Sure.
So it's kind of a weird fight, but I think it's a pretty safe fight for him, especially
I
the
think so.
way that it's lined at minus 320. I think Vegas and the bookmakers agree that it's a pretty safe fight for him as long as it stays standing. Ige is a much smaller guy. Cater's a pretty big featherweight. And we know he's got that crisp boxing. Ige, he's going to have to leg kick Cater. He's going to have to constantly leg kick him to keep the range and either try shooting takedowns. But even if he shoots a takedown, I don't think that he's going to be able to keep Cater down just based on the size disadvantage. So I really like Cater here. I don't know if he can move into the top 5 after beating number 10, Dan Ige. But maybe just on how busy he's been, they'll move him off of somebody who hasn't fought. I think it's a pretty easy fight. I understand why he took it based off of that, but this one won't go the distance either. I expect Cater to get him out of there because Ige took some punches and some kicks from Barboza, but I think that Cater is just going to give him too much to handle and get him out of there. So give me Cater.
Yeah, I agree. I like Calvin Cater here. I don't think it's going to be too close. I thought Dan Ige lost his fight against Barboza, although it was a split decision. I thought he ended up losing that fight. And just to kind of touch base on the featherweight division, it's kind of in a weird position right now because you have Josh Emmett, who just didn't wash, but he beat Shane Burgos. He got hurt. And then other than that, I mean, you have Brian Ortega, who's already locked up supposedly with Korean Zombie, who's been fighting forever. So Calvin Cater just probably doesn't have many options right now. I think the other guy that's up there is Zabit in terms of fighting up top. So I don't think he has a better option right now than Dan Ige. And Ige is also kind of like I guess he has a growing fan base. He's been marketed a lot by the UFC lately that I've seen. He's another one of those contender guys.
He's Ali Abdelaziz's right-hand man, bro.
So he's a pretty big name, I guess, or is becoming a well-known name in the UFC ranks. So it's a good fight for Cater, but I think he's just going to be too much for Dan Ige. Too much on the feet, and like Ben said, if Dan Ige attempts a takedown, I think Cater has enough to get back up or to defend himself down there. So yeah, give me Calvin Cater.
Yeah, Calvin for me too. I'm one of those who thought that had that Zabit fight win 5 rounds, it was Cater's. It was really turning for him. That featherweight division is in a little weird spot now. Korean Zombie talking about fighting someone else, and Ortega's like, hey, I want the belt next if he's not going to fight. There's a lot of stuff going on. You gotta look at that featherweight. Yeah.
Nothing's wrong with Ryan Ortega if he's saying
honestly, though, if Cater wins this fight, I would like to see him against the Korean Zombie. I do think that Zabit might get if if Holloway doesn't get the title shot, I think it's going to be Zabit, bro. Just based off the push that they can give and just a global kind of.
And Volkanovski
spreads
said he
them
wants to fight contenders too, so that's another thing.
We'll see what happens.
Guys, so since we're all on Cater, guys, what do you think about Cater as far as giving out a consensus pick? Cater to win and under 1.5 in the Razak Al Hassan and Lazez fight. That's at plus 106.
Between those two together.
A parlay of Cater, and we need Al Hassan to stay under 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the second round, which he has 10 wins, all 10 by first round KO. The other guy has 9 wins and 7 are by first round KO.
Just because it gets us to plus money, I'm okay with it.
I like it a lot. So we're going to go consensus with that. The line on that under is minus 175 on the Razak Al Hassan and Lazez fight. And we're going to parlay that with Calvin Cater as a minus 345 or 320 favorite. And that comes out to plus 106. So we had that consensus winner on the Rose and Usman parlay. Got a little interesting with the Rose decision. I think that we broke down the Usman fight pretty much to a T. And it played out just like we said. But the Rose fight did give us a little sweat being a split. But that brings us to 4-3 on the consensus. And we're down minus 0.8. Man, that the juice on Ferguson really hurt us, man. Mm-hmm. And that was like right when we had started too. So we dug ourselves a little hole, but we're
getting out of it.
Yeah, no, we're over 500, and we're gonna get there based off this parlay.
Just so now we're that parlay one more time. That's Wednesday's parlay.
Yeah, that's for Wednesday's card, and that is Calvin Cater minus 320 favorite to win, parlayed with Abdul Judo Thunder Razak Al Hassan and Manir Lazez under 1.5 rounds.
There it is, Wednesday's parlay.
That's at plus 106. All right, so good now stuff. We're gonna jump to the Saturday card, and on the Saturday card, we're actually gonna be breaking down 3 fights. I'm gonna start from the top down just because it's a title fight.
Hell yeah!
And we started from the bottom up on the last one. So we got a rematch, man, in the flyweight division, the division that Henry Cejudo retired from and decided to, even before he retired, vacate his title because he was going to defend at 135. So for 125 division, we got a rematch of Davison Daikao Dios de Guerra Figueroa, 18-1, and he's a minus 215 favorite against the number 2 contender, Joseph. I'm going to give him the nickname of Joe B. Benavidez because I'm going to call him Joe B. throughout this whole breakdown.
Joey B.
Joey B, baby.
Joe B. With a 28-6 record, and the comeback on him is plus 165. So, man, like I said, this is a rematch of a fight that happened late 2019, and Davison Figueiredo actually missed weight by a couple pounds. I think it might have been 1 or 2 pounds. Ended up knocking out Joe B and winning the fight, but not being eligible to win the strap due to missing weight. So due to that, Dana White just decided we're going to run it back. Joe B's been a company man. He's been with the UFC for a while. We know that he's dating the ringside reporter or one of the reporters, Megan O'Leary. So he's in good graces with the UFC, man. And this is an exciting fight. It's an exciting fight. It's a fight that it's in the lighter weight divisions, but we saw the last one end. You know, usually we were used to these going the distance. But with Davison Figueiredo, man, he brings the power. He actually tested positive for COVID. So this dude had COVID.
Had it, yeah. Passed his test COVID before he got over there, though. Before cleared to go. Roland,
I did hear that it was like a false positive,
that's what
and then he retested, and he came back good, and he actually is flying out today. So he is behind. You got to think he's got to make weight. He's getting there, and there is 5 days until the fight. He's on the flight right now. So he's going to get there with probably 4 days till the fight. Have to quarantine a bit, cut weight. They said that he was at 135 today when he left. So he's got 10 pounds to cut in his hotel room.
It's not
not that bad. Yeah, exactly. It's not what Masvidal had to do. But man, the story in this fight the last time around was the striking on the feet. Joe B, every time that he would rush Figueiredo or Figueiredo, yeah, whatever, he would throw a punch. He would duck his head. Joe B would kind of like bulldoze in there with his head ducked. Ended up leading to a clash of heads.
Yeah.
Stopped the fight for a bit, kind of dazed and rocked Joe B, cut him, and then he ended up, it proceeded to knocking him out. Honestly, in this fight, Joe B's going to have to wrestle. He does not want the business standing up with this dude because he's a lot bigger and he packs a way bigger punch than Joe B. And honestly, man, this is his last chance at UFC Gold, bro. They gave him that fight when Cejudo, like we said, gave up the belt, and now they're even giving him a rematch just because the other guy missed weight instead of moving on to another guy. So we know that Pantoja is going to be a backup. We're going to talk about him a little bit later in this card. He's going to be a backup just in case Figueiredo doesn't pass his COVID test once landing. But for this one, I expect Figueiredo to keep it standing, stuff the takedowns, and knock out Joe B somewhere in the 3rd or 4th round. So give me the favorite, Davison Figueiredo.
Man, just off of the line and just off of the, I think this is mislined personally, just based on what I saw in the last fight. Give me Joseph Benavidez here, man. Plus 165. As Ben said, this is his last chance at UFC Gold, so you got to think he's coming in. And I think that the last time he probably thought this was his last chance at UFC Gold.
That's true,
so,
exactly.
So he's got a second life here. So he's coming in here and he's going to give it his all. And I'm not going to put much more analysis into it other than that. I think Joseph Benavidez is going to come out and he's finally going to get the job done. I think he was doing a lot of good things in the last fight. Maybe switch a couple things up that led to him getting caught. I think he was getting sloppy in some of his exchanges. Stayed around too long for Figueiredo to catch him. He did get caught, but I think he avoids that mistake this time. So give me Joe B, short dog.
Okay. Just?
Yeah, I'm going to go Joseph Benavidez. This is just based on me being a fan of his. And just got to go with my guy.
There we go.
How do you think he wins? If he wins, decision, obviously?
Decision.
Yeah, just outpoints him?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, next up in the middleweight division, man, this is going to be a good fight. Number 7 ranked Jack the Joker Hermanson with a 20-5 record against number 6 ranked Kelvin Gastelum with a 15-5 record. Kelvin Gastelum, a short favorite. Actually, both guys are on the minus side. Gastelum minus 120, Hermanson minus 110. Pretty much a pick'em fight. And honestly, when I thought about this fight, I said, shit, this is going to be a good fight, but I honestly don't know who's going to win. Jack Hermanson trains out of Frontline Academy in Sweden. 4-1 his last 5 fights. He was on a 4-0 win streak, and then he fought Jared Cannonier and got knocked out. He got slept. The dude's a front runner. He's big as hell for this division, but he does tend to slow down a little bit after a round and a half. In this fight, I think the route that he has to take is exactly what Chris Weidman did to Kelvin Gastelum. I think that he needs to wrestle him, smother him. We know Kelvin Gastelum has had a problem with weight, so they made him move up in divisions, and he's just too short for this weight class, man. So Kelvin Gastelum trains out of King's MMA, coming off back-to-back losses, although they are to Izzy Adesanya, the champ, and Darren Till. We know that championship fight. It was an instant classic for sure. That 5th round won it. But like I said earlier, he's small for the division, and I think he's going to struggle with the takedowns here. Work the kicks, keep the jab, keep Hermanson off. You gas him out. If it gets to the late second, third rounds, I do think that definitely favors Gastelum. The longer the fight goes, I think Gastelum wins by decision. However, I do think that Jack Hermanson is going to sub him. I think he's going to take him down and lock something in. So give me Jack Hermanson.
I like Jack Hermanson here too. I don't really know too much about Jack Hermanson other than what I've seen recently. I think he's going to be the bigger fighter going into fight night, and that's kind of where I usually go on these shorter ones, or shorter line fights. So yeah, give me Hermanson.
I like Hermanson to win this fight, but I will pick Gastelum again, just because I don't choose against the guys that I really like. It's not done me well so far in the pick'em, but I'm just gonna keep the theme up anyway.
You gotta do it.
Damn it, Justin! You gotta think with your head, not your nerve.
Your brain.
Hey, when you like fighters, you don't want to choose against them. You want the best.
No, but I agree with you, bro, because I really like Masvidal, but like we knew Usman was gonna win, and we did it. You know?
But that's where my money chose right. But I was down for Masvidal.
All right, well, the last fight, and we'll go kind of quick on this one because it might happen, it might not happen. In the flyweight division, Alexander the Cannibal Pantoja with a 22-4 record. We did talk about him being the replacement for Davison Figueiredo. If he doesn't make weight, it will be Pantoja against Joe B for the title in a fight where I do favor Joe B. So my pick would definitely change. Keep an eye on Twitter for that. Just keep an eye on the whole situation before you make your picks. I know everybody mostly makes their picks Friday and Saturday, so it should be updated by then, but definitely something to keep an eye on. And he's fighting Askar Bullet Askarov, who's 11-0. Pantoja minus 205, Askarov plus 160. So Pantoja trains out of Nova União. We know that famous Brazilian gym. He's 6-2 in the UFC. And one of those losses was to Davison Figueiredo. So he's been through the ringer. Like, he came up through tough. He's fought the elite. As far as Askarov, he's out of Fighting Eagle in Russia. Which, if you just said Fighting Eagle, I would have thought Russia right away based off of Khabib.
Yeah.
But he's got 7 wins by sub out of his 11. He fought Brandon Moreno in his debut to a draw. And we know Brandon Moreno, a Mexican fighter, has actually been on a pretty good tear recently. So that was a tough opponent in his debut. And then his second fight, he fought Tim Elliott. We know Tim Elliott for that fight with Mighty Mouse, straight off of the tough season. When if you won tough, you got an automatic title shot against Mighty Mouse. That's how bad they were trying to draw for that weight class, bro. Ridiculous. But it actually ended up being a really good first round, and then Mighty Mouse took care of business after that first round was close. But yeah, for this fight, again, I'm just going to keep the theme of the show, man. Pretty much I've taken a lot of underdogs, so I'm going to go with the dude who's third fight in the UFC. I'm going to go with the Bullet to beat Pantoja. Hopefully Pantoja's head's a little messed up thinking, am I going to fight for the belt? Am I not? If he doesn't end up fighting for the belt, I think that no matter what, Askarov's coming in determined. He's going to get the fight to the ground and possibly get a sub, just like I think Hermanson is. So I'm going to go with the dog.
Nice. I'm just going with Pantoja here. I mean, he's the seasoned vet in the UFC. He's kind of fought close to the who's who, kind of in that division. Owns a win over Brandon Moreno, actually. So I do like Pantoja to get it done here. Give me the favorite.
I'm with you, Roland. Let me get the Cannibal on this one, too.
The Cannibal. That's a good nickname, too.
I like that.
I don't know how well. Hey, whoa.
Whoa.
Oh
I like it.
Settle down. He doesn't really look like a cannibal, though. I will say, like, I don't know how much it fits him. But that's it. As far as Wednesday and Saturday, man, we got UFC fights all week. We had UFC fights Saturday. Kicked it off with the big pay-per-view. This main event is going to be a banger. Cater against Ige. Somebody will get finished, and it will be Ige.
And is that on the big ESPN or ESPN Plus?
I'm not sure, Roland, but I would think ESPN Plus if it's on a Wednesday.
That one might be, but the other one's on ESPN.
The Saturday one that's for the title fight will be on big ESPN, yeah, because there is a time for that one.
That's ESPN 13.
Yeah, and just to tease a little bit, what we'll be talking about next podcast, and we're going to have a guest.
And this is still July 25th, so we're still in July for this next card.
Exactly, July 25th. So that's 4 cards in 2 weeks that they're putting up. We're gonna have Steven guest picking with us next week, but this was gonna be headlined by Whitaker and Till. So gonna be bomb. We get 5 rounds of that if it lasts that long. We'll see
That's a
how it
banger.
goes. Yeah, and
Looking
just
forward
other
to that.
people that are on the card. Mauricio Shogun Rua is fighting with one of the Nogueira brothers.
Little Nog.
I like
Yeah.
Gustafsson making his heavyweight debut. I like
Who's
that.
Gustafson.
Alexander
Oh, Gustafsson. We got the return of Gustafsson against
heavyweight.
Fabricio Verdum, who we just saw look pretty damn sloppy.
Yeah.
Curious to see what that line is going to be because right away I would think Gustafsson off the bat, man.
The Brazilian Cowboys up there too, Alex Oliveira.
Alex Cowboy.
He's always down. He's always down for a
Alex
scrap.
Cowboy Oliveira against Peter Sabata, and then Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts against Nicholas Dalby.
Hot chocolate.
Hot
Whoa.
chocolate. Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about that, and we're gonna get into that card, and then we're gonna get into the NBA comeback. So we should have by next Monday 2 weeks full of the bubble. Hopefully nobody's rings go off, but
Nobody sneaks any models in there.
we're for sure we're gonna find
make
a
any
lot out
promises
about the NBA. I think we'll find out a lot about the Westbrook situation by next Monday. I think this week we'll be able to track that. The news just came out today. Thank God we do our podcast Mondays now, not Sundays, bro, because the way the news was coming out this morning, I was like, shit. We were supposed to have a shorter podcast.
Yeah, but we had to
everything
break
just
down
started
the
dropping down.
And then we'll know more about Watch if he's back by then, or
and you know we'll get into who we think is gonna come back fresh, who we have favored to win, who we think's gonna end up winning Rookie of the Year. Do you think John Morant's gonna wrap that up? Is that over? Who's gonna end up winning MVP end of the season? I think some guys here favor LeBron. Somebody might favor Giannis, maybe a James Harden there. I don't know. Not this year, but we're gonna talk some MVP talk, everything NBA. So I'm pretty excited about next podcast.
It'll be a big NBA podcast with that little not little because we're gonna be going over 5 fights, and bro, they're pretty good fights, man, for a free card. So
it's gonna be a long podcast.
Definitely looking forward to next podcast. And we will have to break down a little bit. We will have to highlight what happened on Wednesday and Saturday when we shoot the breeze. But, I mean, we're going to have a new champion at 125 as long as Figueiredo makes weight this time, you know. So we'll definitely recap that. Looking forward to that. What else y'all got?
That's it for me, man.
That's it for me, man. Just ready for the NBA to come back.
Looking forward to this week's fights. I mean, you know, Wednesday night normally it's not a busy night for me because there's no sports going on right now, but UFC starting to hook it up.
Or church anymore. Usually Wednesday was a church day for a lot of people too. But
haven't been church because of that.
I guess I do have one thing before the end of the podcast. Just be on the lookout for some golf plays. I took a break this past week. Wasn't too big of a field out there this week, but now some of the bigger names are going to be returning. Tiger's back at the Memorial. It's the same course that they just played this last week, so there's going to be a lot of data to sift through. So be on the lookout for some round by round and maybe some winners.
That'll be on our Twitter. I don't know if Roland will be able to post on Facebook, but guarantee that'll be on the Twitter if he does.
And the plays have been pretty damn good, bro. I know that one weekend that Roland went off posting golf plays, it was a pretty damn good weekend. If stuff wasn't a draw, it was a winner. There might have been 1 or 2 plays that didn't go down, but for the most part, he's had a good read on everything. So definitely look out for that.
Let's keep the juju going.
Let's get
for sure.
Well, that's episode 13 of We Talking About Sports. Like we mentioned before, we're available on YouTube, Facebook, and all platforms for audio. Wherever you get your podcast, you can find us. And we look forward to you being part of this Pick'em contest. Again, congratulations to the 2 winners we had.
Hey, whoa, we didn't even go over that. Hold up. Let's just finish the podcast real quick with that because we didn't go over the standings. We had 2 people go 5-0.
Oh, there you go. 2 people 5-0 for the contest.
We had 2 people go 5-0. The new standings, Roland still is the leader with 33.35. Justin at 29. I'm coming in at 32.75. Josh, 24.4. Gabby, 26.5. John, 22.75. John had a 5-0 week. Mondo, 26.25. So he's right on Gabby's tail. Gabby had an off week this week.
She'll get it back.
Getting one right for sure.
Tattoos will get it for her.
Yeah, Mondo would choke down the stretch for sure. Roland G actually won the contest that Bet King was putting up. He split with another Twitter user who wasn't in our contest, but it was nice to see one of our contestants, man.
Yeah, shout out Roland.
5-0, even getting the method of victory right on the main event. So that's good for him. He got set up. Izzy at 20, Diego at 24.1, Steven at 17.9, Rexa at 20.5, Jacob at 3, Mike Gonzalez at 3, and Wally also joined this week. We had Mike Gonzalez and Wally, both new people join, and Wally picked up 4 points, so he only got 1 wrong.
Nice.
And the podcast consensus, of course, was a winner, moves us to 4-3 minus 0.8. And again, we're about to get in the black this week. The consensus play is Calvin Cater on the money line, parlayed with Azal Hassan under 1.5 rounds.
Wednesday's parlay.
That wraps up. Yeah, keep an eye out. Maybe we'll have something for Saturday. I know we all picked Hermanson. We'll see how we feel about it later down the week once we see weigh-ins and all that.
And if Pantoja steps in, we'll see what happens there.
For the main event.
That could be something.
There's a lot to watch for that Saturday card, man. But the good thing is we get some fights on Wednesday to keep us busy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, any last words, guys?
Just stay safe out there, guys. Wear your mask.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys. Episode 13 in the books.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
Me. Bam, bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
We talking about sports. I mean, what we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.